They taped a notice to my door at dawn: surrender my dog or face daily fines. My neighbors watched as the HOA president walked my street like a sheriff, snapping photos of my porch, my grass, my best friend at my side. They called him a violation. They said he had to go. But my dog isn't just a dog, and the law knows it. I stayed quiet, gathered proof, and walked into the next board meeting shaking but ready. What do you think happened when I showed them the paper they never saw coming? Most mornings start the same way: a quiet click of Scout's nails on the hardwood and the soft rush of sunlight slipping past the linen curtains. My little house at the end of the cul-de-sac exhaling drillixes with mealed bones. Sure, but the kind that remember laughter? The porch faces east, so we catch first light. I sit with a mug that tastes like cinnamon and earth, and Scout leans his warm shoulder against my shin like a promise. Hummingbirds squabble at the feeder. The rosemary hedge grabs at the breeze and perfumes the walk. The place isn't grand, but it's mine. A lemon tree by the fence, a dent in the hallway where the bookcase bumped the day I moved in, a kitchen that glows gold at 4:30. I strung lights under the eaves last winter and never took them down. In the evenings, they make the yard look like a held breath. I work from the little sunroom plants, a wobbly desk, the world framed in green. On lunch breaks, Scout and I loop the block. He knows every cracked square of sidewalk, and I know the relief of home welcoming us back. The envelope is bright white and a little too eager, tucked under the welcome mat like an apology. Crest of the association in blue foil. I carry it to the porch and slit it with the butter knife I keep in the planters for twine. Scout noses my elbow while I unfold the trifold brochure. Cheerful clip art of tidy hedges and a front door painted the color of compliance. Community standards refresh. It says, as if it's a new scent, for the harmony we all cherish. There's a section about exterior illumination. Non-seasonal decorative string lighting visible from the public way is not permitted. Another about wildlife feeding. Please refrain from placing feeders of any kind to reduce pests and maintain cleanliness. Landscaping uniformity mentions herbaceous plantings maintained at a uniform height. Approved species list attached. I look up. The lights I forgot to take down wink sleepily in the morning. The hummingbirds bicker as if they can read. The rosemary nudges the path, smelling defiantly like memory and lamb chops. There's a deadline 30 days but no signature, just a printed name and a P.O. box. Suggestion or warning? I can't tell, and the not knowing makes my coffee taste like it cooled too fast. A week later, there's a new envelope that doesn't bother with cheer. Not tucked this time, slapped to the door with blue painter's tape like it expects resistance. Red stamp across the front. Second notice. Inside, the association's crest again, but the tone has lost its smile. Formal violation, an itemized liced exterior, illumination, wildlife feeding, landscaping uniformity with a balance due at the bottom. 175 fines will accrue daily until compliance is achieved. The date they've chosen for initial notice is somehow 3 days before the white brochure ever found my Matt Scout wines at my knee, like he can smell the ink. The lights, still looped under the eaves, lift a single wink in the dull morning, as if they know they're now contraband. The hummingbirds skirmish, reckless with their small, furious hearts. The rosemary leans a fraction farther over the path, just to make a point. I call the number on the letter. Voicemail, cheerful and hollow. I send an email with pictures attached me on the ladder, lights coiled on my arm, the feeder emptying. Into the sink, a pair of clippers next to the rosemary like a threat I don't mean. I print the brochure and circle the 30 days. Open office hours, the website says, Tuesday, 9 to 11 a.m. Clubhouse. The clubhouse smells like lemon cleaner and old carpet. A soda machine hums to itself in the corner. Diane, the vice chair, according to her laminated badge, sits behind a folding table with a stack of manila folders and a travel mug that says Best Life Now. I'm here about a violation. I begin holding out the red letter like a truce flag. I'm already fixing it. The brochure said 30 days. She doesn't take the paper. The brochure was a courtesy, she says. Her voice is powdered sugar over concrete. This is the formal track. But the dates? She opens a folder without looking at me. We have to be consistent. If you want a variance for the rosemary, you can apply. It takes 6 to 8 weeks, no feeders, no non-seasonal lighting. I took them down today. I emptied the feeder. The rosemary my grandmother planted read, your CC and Rs, she says, pleasant as a dial tone. Next, she glances past me to a man with a golf visor. When I don't move, she lifts her mug in a little toast that is not a toast at all and smiles like closing a door. The next envelope is bigger, heavier, like a book I didn't order. Certified mail. Redder stamp. Hearing notice. The subject line in the email version reads, in all caps, Mandatory appearance, the fine has doubled, then doubled again while I slept. A line item I've never seen before. Nuisance vegetation $50 day. Another unauthorized fauna encouragement, $25 day. Attachments include 3 glossy prints taken from the sidewalk. My house caught mid-breath. One is me on the ladder, blurred, mouth open. Another is Scout watching from the window, ears up. The third is the rosemary, circled in red like a crime scene. Asterisk at 7 in the morning, a beige golf cart sized to a stop at my curb. The man who steps out is a khaki idea of authority. Mirrored sunglasses, collar up, clipboard already ticking. The badge on his belt clip says President Alden Pierce. He doesn't introduce himself. He knows my name without asking and uses it the way you'd use a finger to smear a flaw. We prefer responsible ownership. Alicia, he says, though I never gave him Alicia, sets a tone. He measures the rosemary with a contractor's tape, lips moving like he's muttering a prayer against chaos. He photographs my porch light. He photographs Scout's leash. That barked just now, he says. We've had complaints. Aggressive behavior. Scout presses against my calf, all trembling ribs. Animal control is a last resort, Holden adds, like he's offering me mercy. I ask about the 30 days again and he laughs, squinting at his clipboard like it told him a joke. You people love a brochure, he says. This community runs on compliance, not pamphlets. Tuesday you'll appear before the board or we proceed to lien. By noon there are 2 more notices, blue taped, neat and level, trash receptacle. Visibility and decorative elements wind chime. I don't own a wind chime. The hummingbirds make a sound like one when they fight. The emails come to CCD2 addresses I recognize from the cul-de-sac. Subject line, Community Standards Update. One homeowner, Halden writes, has elected non-compliance. Neighbors look away when I pass. Diane's smile is now a line in a signature block. I stand with the clippers by the rosemary and hold them there long enough for my arm to ache. Scout noses the blue tape that has fallen from the last notice, mouths it like seaweed. The lights under the eaves blink once, some subcutaneous twitch. This is not about rules. It is about me, and I don't know what I did except exist in the wrong key. I put the clippers down. My hands shake anyway. Tuesday, I put on the good shoes that squeak and pin every notice to my shirt with safety pins, a paper breastplate that rustles when I breathe. The blue tape makes a sash. The hearing notice rides my sternum like a target. I put the rosemary in a terracotta pot and tie a red ribbon where they circled it. Scout's tag clicks like a metronome. The community center fluorescents hum their long throat clearing, folding chairs in rows. Coffee in a silver urn. A sign-in sheet with my wrong name already printed in block letters. Alicia Diane is at the end of the table under a little flag. Her smile a bracket around nothing. Halden's golf cart is parked diagonally across 2 spaces, beige as a threat. He wears his sunglasses indoors. The badge says President like a spell. The placard says Halden Pierce. The gavel waits head down as if to pray. People file in with their mouths already arranged. A child points at my rosemary and her mother, tugs her hand away like I'm contagious. Call to order, Halden says, voice amplified. He doesn't look at me. He looks at the idea of me. We're here to address one homeowner's pattern of noncompliance. For the record, Alicia * my name, I say, and the microphone catches it, throws it back to me. Larger is not. Alicia, it lifts a small wind through the room. The hummingbirds have followed us. I hear the tiny sword sounds at the glass. Scout leans into my calf, heart ticking loud as the exit sign. I set the pot on the tablecloth between us like proof. The rosemary smells like yes. Then we'll proceed to lean, Halden says, but softer now. I open the binder. The 30 days glows from the page like a fuse. I hold the fuse to the microphone and let it burn. This notice isn't to me, I say, showing the block letters. You can't lien a ghost. Due process requires my name, and you don't have one. Asterisk, I turn the page and the room tilts. Also, your authority. The covenants expired in June. No preservation was recorded. The corporation is listed inactive. President. I say it like returning a coat that isn't his. You can't fine anyone. You can't call to order. You can't call me anything. Diane stops smiling. She peels back a folder and slides a printout to the edge of the table. The state website with a little red word, inactive. Someone in the 3rd row breathes, a sound like a sail filling. A man in a Broncos cap says, wait, so, and then 3 different people finish it for him. They can't, like a chord. The child who wanted to touch the rosemary reaches for it again. Her mother doesn't stop her. It smells like my grandmother, the girl says, palm pressed to the soft spines. Reverent. They can't, I repeat. And I read the part of the statute about native and drought-tolerant plants, about right to garden, about ornamental being edible, about rosemary remembering. I say it plain and it lands with weight. Halden takes off his sunglasses. His eyes are regular-sized. The gavel lifts, uncertain, and I hear Scout's tag ticking the seconds between us. Out of order, he says, but it isn't a spell anymore. Point of order, I answer. There is no order to be out of. I pick up the gavel he can't hold and set it upright. Neighbors, shall we? Hands rise, fingers, paper cups, rosemary sprigs. Diane reaches up and pulls the president pin free. The glue gives with a soft, embarrassed sound. The hummingbirds click their little swords and the fluorescents praise, for once instead of clearing their throat. The badge lies on the table, light as a peeled label. The room votes itself back into its name. Resolution. For a second no one moves, as if we've been told to hold a breath and finally remember we don't have to. Then the room exhales. Chairs scrape like small waves, paper rustles. The gavel stays upright, a little lighthouse, unnecessary now. Relief sits down in my bones. My knees are water, and then they're mine again. Scout leans into my leg until the tag quits its metronome. I'm tired in a clean way, the kind that follows a fever breaking. The rosemary keeps its little blue fists. Unbothered, Diane peels the glue from her lapel with her thumbnail, rolls it to a gray seed. I resign, she says to no one in particular, and it lands without echo. She slides the state printout back toward me as if it's hot. Halden tries the sunglasses on, then off. Without the spell, he's just a man with a headache. Meeting adjourned, he says out of habit. The room ignores him kindly. Someone writes suspended on the whiteboard. Under agenda and draws a line through fines. Notices get gathered into a stack and, after a beat, into the recycling bin. A neighbor asks, "So, we don't owe? You don't?" I say, heads nod, shoulders drop. The child pockets a rosemary sprig like a treasure. Outside, the hall clock ticks forward and nothing chases us. Months pass and the pink envelopes stop arriving. Mail is just birthdays and seed catalogs again. We keep the folding chairs, but use them for potlucks, movie nights, a winter coat swap. The whiteboard now lists babysitting tools to borrow birthdays. Someone hung a quilt where the fines once lived. We rewrote the bylaws in sentences that fit in a mouth. Halden brings aspirin and ice to every meeting. He grows tomatoes, blushes when praised, laughs easier. Diane shelves returns at the library on Thursdays and still peels labels, but slower, like she's learning her own edges. The child plants that stolen sprig under an apartment window. By spring, it is a small hedge and the bees are pleased. Our fences smell like memory and roast chickens. Scout sleeps through thunderstorms now. I sleep. Period. Relief became practice. We got good at showing up before the trouble started. When a new notice tried to scare us, we read it together and the paper softened. The moral is simple. Rules should serve people, and people are strongest when they stand shoulder to shoulder. So tell me what happens in your town when you choose care over fear, and who would you become if you showed up first?